Have you ever met someone whose determination just completely blows you away? Someone who makes you rethink what's truly possible. Today, I want to tell you a story about a boy like that. A boy everyone had written off. They all said school was an impossible dream for him, a luxury his family could never afford. But this boy had a different idea. He was about to show everyone, including himself, the incredible power of a single unwavering goal. His name was Samuel, and he grew up in a tiny, remote village nestled deep in the mountains. Life there was simple, but it was also incredibly hard. His family was one of the poorest in the village. They lived in a small, mud brick house that struggled to keep out the winter cold. His parents were farmers who worked from sunrise to sunset, but the stubborn, rocky soil rarely gave them enough to make a comfortable living. Often, there wasn't enough food to go around, and the gnawing feeling of hunger was a constant companion for Samuel and his siblings. In this world of scarcity, things like new clothes or sturdy shoes were unimaginable luxuries. Samuel's only pair of shoes was a hand-me-down from an older cousin. They were already worn when he got them, and with every step he took, they seemed to fall apart a little more. Soon, a small hole in the sole grew into a gaping tear. His toes would peek out, greeting the dusty road, and on rainy days, his socks would be soaked through within minutes. The other kids in the village would sometimes point and laugh, calling them talking shoes because the soles flapped with every step. But Samuel learned to ignore them. Those torn shoes were a part of his reality, and he had bigger things to worry about. The biggest of these worries was school. The nearest school was in a town on the other side of the mountain. For the children in his village, this was more than just a distance. It was a barrier. There was no school bus, no public transport, just a winding, treacherous path that snicked its way up and down the rugged landscape. It was an 8-mile journey, one way, 16 miles every single day. Most parents in the village simply gave up on the idea of education for their children. It was too far, too dangerous, and they needed the extra hands to help on the farm. They believed their children's fate was to follow in their footsteps, tilling the same land their ancestors had. But Samuel's parents saw a flicker of something different in their son's eyes. He was quiet and observant, with a curiosity that couldn't be contained by the village boundaries. He would borrow old newspapers from the village elder and spend hours trying to decipher the words. His brow furrowed in concentration. He dreamed of a world beyond the mountains, a world he could only access through books. Seeing this fire in him, his parents made a heart-wrenching decision. They couldn't give him money, or new shoes, or even a proper meal for his journey, but they could give him their blessing. They told him, "If you truly want to learn, we will not stop you." And so, his epic journey began. Every morning, long before the sun even thought about rising, Samuel would wake up. The world would be draped in a blanket of darkness and silence, broken only by the crow of a distant rooster. While his family slept, he would quietly slip out of bed, put on his worn-out clothes and his talking shoes, and step out into the chilly morning air. He didn't have a flashlight. He learned to navigate the familiar path by the faint light of the moon and stars, his feet knowing every rock and root by heart. The journey was a solitary one. He walked alone, a small, determined figure against a vast, sleeping landscape. The silence was his constant companion. It wasn't an empty silence, though. It was filled with the sounds of nature, the chirping of early morning crickets, the rustle of leaves in the breeze, the distant call of a night bird. In this solitude, his mind was free to wander. He would think about the things he learned the day before, recite multiplication tables in his head, or imagine the stories hidden inside the books he hoped to read one day. This silent walk became his moving meditation, a time for focus and reflection. The path itself was a daily challenge. In the spring, it would turn into a muddy river after the rains, and he'd have to carefully pick his way through, trying not to slip and fall. In the summer, the sun beat down mercilessly, and the dust from the path would coat him from head to toe. In the autumn, strong winds would howl through the mountain passes, threatening to push him off his feet. And in the winter, the path would be icy and treacherous, each step a calculated risk. But he never missed a single day. Rain, shine, or snow. Samuel walked. He would arrive at school just as the first bell rang, his face flushed from the exertion, his clothes often damp or dusty. He was always the quietest kid in the class. He didn't have time for playground games or idle chatter. While other kids complained about homework, Samuel treasured every single assignment. Every word the teacher spoke was a precious gem he collected and stored in his mind. He would sit at his desk, completely absorbed, his focus absolute. He knew that every moment in that classroom was a gift, a privilege earned through 16 miles of walking. He couldn't afford to waste a single second. This quiet discipline became the defining characteristic of his life. He didn't complain, he didn't ask for sympathy, he just did the work. He understood at a very young age that his circumstances were not his fault, but his future was his responsibility. The long, silent walks taught him patience. The physical hardship taught him resilience. And the hunger for knowledge fueled his incredible self-control. He studied during his lunch break. He studied on his long walk home, and he studied by candlelight late into the night. His torn shoes became a symbol not of poverty, but of his unyielding commitment. Years passed. The small boy grew into a young man. He finished primary school at the top of his class. Then he finished middle school, still walking that same path, still at the top of his class. His academic excellence earned him a scholarship to a high school in the city. And for the first time, he didn't have to walk miles to learn. From there, another scholarship took him to a prestigious university. The boy who once couldn't afford a new pair of shoes was now studying subjects he had only dreamed of. Today, Samuel is a successful architect. He designs beautiful, functional buildings that serve communities. He lives in a comfortable home, and he can buy any shoes he wants. But he's never forgotten where he came from. He never forgot the feeling of the cold mud seeping through his torn shoes or the burn in his legs as he climbed the mountain pass. He returned to his village and used his skills and resources to build a new school right there, so that no child would ever have to choose between their education and their safety. He also started a foundation that provides shoes, uniforms, and books to underprivileged children in rural areas. When people ask him about his past, he doesn't speak of it with bitterness or regret. He smiles and says, "That long walk was the most important part of my education. It taught me that the journey is just as important as the destination. It taught me that hardship can forge strength, and that silence can teach you to listen to your own heart." Samuel's story is a powerful reminder that education is not just about what you learn in a classroom. It's a journey of transformation. It's the key that can unlock doors you never even knew existed. His life is a testament to the idea that our beginnings do not have to define our endings. With enough determination, perseverance, and a willingness to walk the long, hard road, you can rewrite your own story. The rewards of education aren't just a better job or more money. It's the freedom to become the person you are always meant to be. Thank you so much for watching today. If Samuel's story inspired you, please give this video a thumbs up and share it with someone who might need to hear it. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories that motivate and inspire. See you in the next one.